What's going on, Longhorn Nation? It's your boy BJ with Bad Talks. I'm back for the preview of the number 6 LSU versus number 9 Texas Longhorns this weekend, Saturday at DKR. Whoa, what a big weekend. We got game day in town. There'll be tons of Bayou Bengals traveling to Austin this weekend. You already know it's going to be jam-packed with the burnt orange. Bevo Boulevard is going to be hopping. Man, if I could go to a game, it would be this one. I wish I could get back to Austin. When I lived in San Antonio, of course, I had season tickets, so I was down there every weekend when we had a home game. But I didn't get to watch one like LSU coming into town. Big matchup for both teams. One, there's been a little trash talking going on this week, more so from the LSU side of things. When I watched the interviews, LSU DBs talking about, or the one DB talking about Sam not much of a threat with his arm. They commented on the only one DBU T-shirts that Texas was wearing. Of course, Caden Stearns and Brandon Jones spoke up on those and said that Michael Huff put those together, and Brandon Jones took it to Coach Herman and asked if they could wear the DBU shirt, and he allowed them to. Coach Herman said, if it makes you play better, we're going to let you wear it. And I think LSU took that as a shot, and it may have been. Who cares if it was? I like it. I like the swagger that Texas has. I like the swagger that LSU has. I think it's going to be a big-time matchup. It's funny seeing a lot of Twitter stuff going on this week. Not a whole lot of trash talk between Texas LSU fans. There's some, but not a whole lot. It's more A&M fans, Aggie fans sticking up for LSU. And then LSU fans saying, come on, guys, y'all beat us once out of eight tries. You don't get to comment on us playing Texas. I think that's great. A lot of Aggie fans commenting on the Texas LSU game. And they're a 17-point underdog against Clemson this weekend. So they may want to worry about that beatdown they're about to take in Clemson this weekend. And that's almost a guarantee going to happen. But again, this is like an SEC Big 12 matchup. I'm not a conference guy. I talk about the SEC some just because I think they're way overhyped. They're just like any other conference. They're a 2 to 3 team conference, and everybody else is just average. And it is what it is again. This year is probably Bama and Georgia. And everybody's hyping up over Auburn beating Oregon, but Auburn will finish probably 15 to 20 at the end of the year, if I'm guessing. But right now it's Bama and Georgia in the SEC. And, of course, LSU's there, but I don't think LSU's that top-tier team this year, obviously. Big-time program. It's cool seeing LSU come in. But like I said, there's a lot of reasons it's going to be good. LSU is a good football team. They got a lot of returning starters. I want to say 8 on offense, 8 on defense. They put a whooping on Georgia Southern, but again, it's Georgia Southern. It's FCS school. And I watched the highlights. I watched a couple of videos of their highlights. And obviously we all know that LSU went to the spread. They used to be run downhill game type of team, but now they run the spread. And it's funny how people are hyping that up so much about LSU running the spread. And it is going to be hyped once they get in the SEC because the SEC is not used to seeing it. But the Big 12, you're coming in to play Texas. Texas has to face that offense every single week. Texas Tech air raiding it out. Dang. Oklahoma obviously is one of the best in the country at running it. Lincoln Riley, there's none better than Lincoln Riley running the spread. And Texas did just fine with that last year in the Red River Rivalry, which I was there. And then, of course, they did okay in the Big 12 championship. They ended up losing, but it wasn't like overwhelming for Texas. Todd Orlando will have his team ready, I believe. But LSU big and strong, fast, athletes all over the field, just like they always have. And their offensive line is good. Their quarterback, Joe Burrow, looks like he's a pretty good guy. Looks like he's a pretty good quarterback. Coach Herman spoke about he recruited him when he was at Ohio State, about how good his family was and all that kind of stuff. And that's cool. And he looks like a good quarterback, but I'll tell you right now, he don't move very well. He doesn't look very mobile to me. And unfortunately for him, and unfortunately for LSU defensive line, is Texas going to bring the heat. You can guarantee Todd Orlando is going to dial it up, especially on 3rd and long, 2nd long. He's going to have that 8 DB package, and here they come from all over the field. And those of you that don't know much about Texas, if you're tuning in and watching, you may think 8 DBs, man, they're small. Texas got big defensive backs now. And the Overshown, those guys, they're going to come and get you. And Brandon Foster, my boy Brown. They're going to come get him, and I hope they get to him. Again, it's going to be a test. I'm not going to sit there and say it's easy for Texas defense by no means. LSU is going to bring it. And like I said earlier, LSU is running the spread this year, and they're probably not going to be as efficient as we're used to seeing, but they're going to have bigger and better athletes that Texas is used to week in and week out. Maybe not so much against Oklahoma. Oklahoma offense can hang with anybody in the country. But so it's not going to be a surprise to Texas. It doesn't scare Texas if that's what LSU thinks. But LSU still runs the football. They got that Fournette kid. He's still going. They get in the red zone. They're going to give him the football. You can bet on that. They got big receivers. Really hadn't heard a whole lot about them just by watching them. They were big receivers, but Georgia Southern had small defensive backs. So I really don't know what to take from that. All I can take from is what I saw. And they looked impressive in their first win. So I'm not going to take anything away from them. But like I said earlier, Texas is going to bring the heat. But we'll see how LSU holds up. I'd like to see, I think Texas is going to shut down the run first. I think they're really going to try to shut down the run first and put the game on Burrow's hands and the DB's hands and probably put our guys out there on the island some. Jalen Green and Boyce or whoever starts out on the left side. We're going to be on the island by themselves with these good receivers from LSU. So we're going to find out. You see me looking down. I took notes on the LSU. Started writing notes on the game, and it's more scribble than anything. I hate taking notes. I like to come off the top of my head. I like to talk football. I like to talk to Texas Longhorns. I like to talk what I've seen on film. I don't like to sit and read notes. So if I jumble around and bounce around, I'm sorry. I'm just here talking football to you. I don't make any money doing this stuff. Obviously, I get about 200 views, so a whole lot of people don't see it yet. I'm hoping one day it does. Give some shout-outs to some guys that do get that because they do a very good job, and that's pretty cool. But I'm not on this thing to make money or make it big time. I'm here to talk football with some Texas fans, and if LSU fans want to chime in, go for it. I get some Aggie fans that chime in. Of course, I get West Virginia Aggie fans that like to chime in all the time. But that's neither here nor there. All right, let's move over to Texas now. What's Texas bringing to the table? Yeah, we've only seen them play against Louisiana Tech. Now, I think Louisiana Tech will beat Georgia Southern by 3 touchdowns, but that's my opinion. So Texas beat a better team handily. So that's all we can go off of as of now. We can't talk about how great they were against Georgia last year because this is a different football team. And when I get in my predictions a little bit later, which I've been going back and forth with this prediction since after the Louisiana Tech game because I really just didn't know. I think I know today who I want to pick and why I want to pick it, and I'll explain that. And then I'll close it off with my top 10 this week. And then, of course, I said something. I shouldn't have did the playoff prediction last week because I hadn't even seen anybody yet. After watching Oregon for the first half, I was like, why did I pick these guys for? But I was actually looking at their schedule versus looking at their team. So I'm not going to do that. I'll pick more down the road when it gets there. But let's get to Texas. On offense, elephant in the room. We all know Texas is short on running backs. Jordan Whittington went down again with the sports hernia. He went to Philadelphia this week to have surgery on that, have that thing repaired once again. It's unfortunate because now we're down to Keontae Ingram, scholarship running back, and then, of course, Roshan, and moved the linebacker over, tried to do it in the running back room. Good athletes. But I think it's time for Keontae Ingram, man. I think it's time for this guy. I watched him at Carthage. I watched him win state championship, all-state running back. I mean, thoroughbred running back. The dude's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's slippery, he's elusive, he's smart with the ball, a little impatient at times. He's got great vision. I'd like to see this guy get 30 touches, man. Let's quit giving him 10. I understood last week 10, 11 touches because we're trying to get him keep him healthy for this game. And I keep hearing Coach Herman say, well, they're not going to give Bob Bowlesley's not going to give out the Big 12 championship this week if we win this game or if we lose. So I take that as we may not go all out and put everybody in. I think that's bull. I think he's just saying that. Coach Herman knows how big this win is. Not maybe so much for this year because it doesn't count towards the Big 12 championship or anything like that, but it does count for recruiting. I think I saw today there's 46 recruits that's going to be at the Texas LSU game. 46 guys that's going to be there. And Texas already sitting in the top 5 or number 6 or something like that. I hadn't looked in a couple weeks actually in the composite rankings for 2020. But if they can get some guys to commit this weekend, or at least show off this weekend and get them committed on down the road before December, we can move up in the rankings and recruiting. So kind of bounced away from Keontae Ingram, but I'd like to see him get some touches, man. I really would. He's big and strong. The offensive line is better this year for Texas. I read some stuff about LSU's going to bring the heat. They're going to allow their cornerbacks to play on the island with Colin Johnson and Malcolm Epps and Brennan Eagles, and the slot with Devin Duvernay and Jake Smith, and pick your poison, LSU. If you want to bring the heat, one, Sam can elude and run. Two, he could just throw it up and any receiver can go get it. So I think the best matchup between these two teams is LSU's defensive backs and Texas wide receivers. Not the men in the trenches and all that. It's cool because LSU's got a heck of a defensive line. LSU's got a heck of a defense. Got like 8 returner starters coming back. They got big DBs. One of the DBs is talking about Sam. I actually played against Sam in the state championship game and talked a little bit about him. And so the LSU's got some studs on defense, but I really think the wide receiver DB matchup is what I'm really looking for in this matchup. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I hope Texas can get it rolling. Texas plays with the confidence that they played in against Louisiana Tech. Again, a little different opponent, as we all know. And then let's flip it over. Texas defense, they kind of worry me just a little, just because of the youth. The spotlight's big. But one thing I did like is guys like Jalen Green and Chris Brown and Overshawn. These guys were making tackles last week, and they would get up and they weren't showboat, but they'd stare down the receiver. They let them know, hey, we're cocky and we're here to play some football. We're going to hit you. You're going to get some yards because you're fast, but we're going to hit you when you come over here. And that's one thing I like about our defensive backs. Our defensive tackles, Coburn and Sweat, these ends, I mean, these guys are big and they're fast and they're strong. I love our linebackers right now. They got to get better. Obviously, we're only in week 2. It's going to be a test for Texas defense. But at the end of the day, I think Texas defense can put some pressure on LSU. One, LSU's been running the spread for all of a few months. Since they want to try it out, and they've only played one live game against the FCS school. So I think Texas needs to take full advantage of LSU being kind of wet behind the ears when it comes to running the spread. But they got, like I said before, they got athletes all over the field. So Texas got to bring the heat. I'd like to see a couple turnovers. Coach Herman brought that up in his press conference. Games early on in the season like this aren't really won. They're kind of lost. If you turn the football over, if you blow assignments, get bad penalties at the wrong time, it can really hurt you, and you can lose the football game that way. I think if Texas controls the penalties, doesn't have any turnovers, or wins the turnover battle, should I say, because there'll be some turnovers in this game. But I think Texas can force a little bit more than LSU. I think LSU favors a little because they have more experience. Like I said, they got 8 returning on each side, so they are experienced in that area. But I don't think they have better athletes than Texas does. They just may be a little more experienced when it comes to playing football. Now, when it comes to their spread and all that, Texas is more experienced at facing that kind of stuff. So, man, this thing kind of washes itself out. So, I mean, I'm at 13 and a half minutes. I'm going to kind of jump through this thing and just kind of went to talking about it. But there's really not all the talking's done, guys. All the talking's done. Now it's time to play football. It's hump day already. Football starts tomorrow, and then Saturday night, Texas LSU get the bang heads. So I'm going to make my prediction. Like I said, I went back and forth. And at first I picked LSU. And at first I picked LSU because the experience that they have coming back. Not that I think they're a better football team. Not that I think Coach O's better than Coach Herman's staff, because that's not the case at all. I think Texas is a lot better coached than what LSU is. LSU's got a good defensive coordinator, which I think the defensive coordinators washed themselves out with Todd Orlando and Aranda. But I think Coach Herman's a better play caller, offensive coordinator, / head coach than what Edo and his staff has got over there. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Texas fan and a Coach Herman fan, but so be it. That's what I think. I picked LSU because of experience. And then, I got to thinking back about when Texas went to USC. I could not see them winning that football game, and they had it won. If they wouldn't have fumbled that ball on the goal line, they gave up, towards the end of the game, gave up points, last minute, whatever. They went ahead with a minute, something left in the game. Sam was a freshman. Texas had that won. The next year, beat USC at home. I didn't see them winning it again just because we were young. I wasn't really. We always played timid. It seemed like It didn't seem like we could win that football game, and Texas ended up winning against USC. Last year in the Cotton Bowl, I didn't see Texas beating Oklahoma. I was there, and I just told my brother, like, man, I can't see it. Oklahoma's got Kyler Murray. They have weapons all over the field. They got Sermon at running back. I just can't see Texas winning. And they went up, and late in the fourth quarter, I remember a guy flipped me off because Oklahoma was quitting. Their defense has quit. Texas had scored, went up by 21, I think it was, and their DBs, there's 2 or 3 DBs laying on the field, and I told my brother, I said, they're quitting, man, game over. But if it weren't for Kyler Murray, the game would have been over in a blowout. But Texas won that game, and then whenever Sugar Bowl came, I couldn't see it. I said, man, I can't see Texas beating Georgia. I think Georgia's the better football team at that time. I thought Georgia was bigger, stronger, faster, more experienced. Maybe a little more coaching staff that's more jailed than what Coach Herman and his staff was at the time. I thought Georgia would be more physical in that football game, and it turns out they weren't. Texas was more physical from the jump, and they blew us all away and surprised us all. Of course, you hear Aggies screaming SEC and screaming Georgia didn't want to play because they were supposed to be in the playoffs, which is not the case. LSU had already beat them bad earlier in the season, and then Alabama beat them. And so there's no way you could let them get in. But with that being said, I couldn't picture Texas winning. So later this week, early in the week, I kept telling myself, like, I just can't picture Texas winning. I can't picture them winning the game just because of experience. But I'm going to take that back. Maybe fandom's taking over. I don't know, after doing some research, after watching LSU, after watching Texas, listening to the interviews, taking it all in over the last few days, I'm going to pick Texas to win this football game. And I'll tell you why. I think Texas is going to come out and be physical. I think we got a better coaching staff. We got a better quarterback. Everybody keeps talking about the Joe Burrow kid. But don't forget, Sam Ehlinger is across taking snaps for the Burnt Orange. I like our receivers better than I like their DBs. I like our youth on defense. I like that we have more experience covering the spread than LSU does have running the spread. So I'm going to take Texas slow or close and a nail biter. Maybe come down to Dicker the kicker to win it for Texas. I don't think Texas blows them out by any means, but it wouldn't surprise me if they beat them 28-24. It wouldn't surprise me if they beat them 21-17 because they're going to score and we're going to score. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was 42-40. It really wouldn't. But what I expect Texas to win this football game, and I'm super excited. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to come. I'm ready. I used to be worried about these games. Not anymore, man. We got a coaching staff. We got a Texas team that's hungry and they're humble and they're ready to win. So it's going to be exciting, man. Game day in town, 100,000+ fans there. Austin's going to be jam-packed with people. The stadium's going to be loud. Hope the fans show up and cause LSU, some fits when it comes to noise. So, again, I picked Texas to win. Can't wait for the matchup. And then I'll finish off this video like my buddy wanted me to do my top 10 of the week. All right, I'm going to start off number 1 at Clemson, obviously. Clemson is they get a mediocre Aggie team to coming into town this week, so should handle them pretty easy. And then number 2 at Bama. I moved Oklahoma up to number 3. Jalen Hurts looked impressive. I thought their defense looked better. So I moved Oklahoma up to number 3. I moved Georgia down to number 4. Nothing that Georgia did wrong made me move them down to number 4. They beat a decent Vanderbilt team in Nashville. But I just thought if OU Georgia played today, OU would score at will. And then I got Ohio State at number 5. Justin Fields looks sharp, man. I mean, he moved himself into the Heisman talks. I got LSU at 6 still just because they were there. Preseason, we had them at above Texas. So I'm going to leave LSU at 6. I think they're definitely a top 10 team in the country. And they're very easily could be number 6, just like Texas, Michigan, Notre Dame, or that's about it. I think it'll be at number 6. Number 7, I got Texas. I got Texas up at number 7. I just can't have Michigan and Notre Dame over Texas. They didn't look that impressive to me. So I got number 7. Got Texas at number 7. And then moving on, I got Michigan at number 8, Notre Dame at 9, and I moved Auburn in the top 10. Hey, they beat a good Oregon team. They beat them at the end of the game, but they still won the game. I moved Auburn in there just because Florida had no business being in the top 10. So I got Clemson, Bama, OU, Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, Texas, Michigan, Notre Dame, and Auburn. All right, guys, that's it, man. I'm already sitting at 20 minutes. Let me get off of here, but I appreciate you tuning in. Again, if you like what you hear, do me a favor, man. Hit thumbs up. If you don't like it, hit a thumbs down. Let me know why you don't like it. Let's talk some football. Send me some messages. If you don't do that, look, Bad Talks, look me up on Twitter. I'd love to see you on Twitter, man. Let me get some followers on Twitter. Give me some ideas if you want to see something better or me take something away, man. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, I'm not in this for anything. I do want to give out an announcement before I go from here. Those of you that have followed me for the last couple of years, you hear me talking about that I'm in the military and stuff like that. I dropped my retirement paperwork yesterday. It's such a great feeling. So June of next year, I'll be completely out of the Army. And I can't wait. I can't wait, man. I'm enjoying life right now. I'm coaching my boys in football. They're doing really good and at practice. And our first game is this weekend. So wish you guys luck on here. Pray for them. Pray for my journeys after the Army. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet. You know, that's part of being able to be retired and at 41 and at 40. 41 before I retire. That's the perks of being retired at 41. I'll have a little money coming in. And I'll be able to do what I want to do after that. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in. I love you guys out there. And if you overseas or something like that, man, stay safe. Hook 'em. Thanks for tuning in, Longhorn Nation. Can't wait to talk to you guys on Sunday about the Texas LSU game recap. Hook 'em.